How would you sum this up, Roy, under Eric Ten Hag?
Do you know what? That doesn't look real. Is that real? You know, it looks ugly. That looks ugly, and it's just the amount of goals we were discussing earlier. You know, 6 at City, 7 at Liverpool, 4 at Brentford. But I don't know. It's not good. It's not good. They're obviously in a tough place. Their manager's under pressure. Again, there was players played last night for United, and you thought they would have been leaving the club maybe in the summer, and you're still going back to the same players who have been getting Man United nowhere fast over the last 1 or 2 years. So what's the sign of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. This group's not going to change. And as I said, if they're not going to work as hard as the opposition, then you're in trouble. And they don't.
Yeah, it looks like there's big problems there. That sounds obvious, the performances all season. It's not so much the results. And you can't actually believe where Manchester United are in the table, really. But watching Marcus Rashford last night, that was an unacceptable performance for a few reasons. And it's not pick on Rashford, because I don't think anyone comes out of it with any great credit. But that lad didn't play midweek. So if there's any little mitigating circumstance of a player's maybe not being 100%, it's playing Wednesday night away in Europe, then you play Saturday, and then the travel. But I've been a local player, and it's not easy being a local player, especially when your team are not doing well. Now, normally for Gary, Paul Scholes, all those lads, Ryan Giggs, more often than not, they were doing well. But for Marcus Rashford, and for myself, and probably Steven Gerrard at Liverpool, when it's not going well, it's your job to fix it. And you have got to drag other people up with you. Because I'm watching Marcus Rashford now, and he reminds me of Martial. And that's the worst possible thing you can probably say about him. A foreign player who comes in, hasn't done the business, doesn't care, really, and that's a fact with Martial. Marcus Rashford is now looking like Anthony Martial, and as a local player, it's your job to drag those other players up. And if your confidence is down, or you're not scoring goals, or you're not getting assists, not a problem. You do not stop running for that badge and that shirt and those supporters, because you're supposedly one of them. And what he did last night was nowhere near.
Yeah, we must care, though. I mean, I know what you're saying, Cara. I think off last night's evidence.
I know he cares. I know he cares.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not enough. And
they gave him a penalty. He's an England international. They gave him a penalty last week. They gave him at Everton. Here we go, for your confidence. For his confidence. So what about your body language? I go back to the players I played with, white players who were very, very talented. Giggs, Beckham, Sharp, Kanchelskis. Let me tell you, they ran. They bloody ran. And they were top players for Man United. And it's all right running that way, you've got to run back. And the reason Man United fans don't jump on players' backs that quickly, let me tell you. Sometimes they do give them the benefit out. They're really frustrated with Marcus Rashford at the moment for his lack of skill. And not really, because they don't see a player running. Like James said, playing for the badge. He's a local lad. He's had a lot of plaudits over the last few years. He's got the mega deal, all well and good. And you look at players, I'm always looking at players, the hunger, have they got that desire to do well? And Marcus isn't showing it that much. So whenever you give him a ball to take a penalty, no, I need a bit more. When you run forward, no problem, but you bloody run back when you're playing for Man United, and no excuses. And all we do is hear excuses. Confidence. Listen, every player can have a dip in confidence. But sometimes, again, you go back and you go, how do I fix this? You run.
Yeah, but
cover the yards.
Look at the team. And I'm not trying to defend him, but he made both very good points. But look at the team he's playing in.
No, Mike.
I have to say that because as many times as you said, it looks like there's bag eggs and what's going on with the ownership and whatnot. Yes, last season he was great. This season he's not been up to standard. But I mean, you're talking about you're a winner. You're a leader. You've played 700 games for Liverpool.
Mikey, you have to run.
The way you galvanise the team is completely different to one another. Do you know what I
get
mean?
that. But so there was a player today we watched, right? There must be no more difficult place to go as an attacking player or a centre forward, a lone striker away at Man City. You're not going to get much of a kick. Son did not stop running. Yeah, he got his goal and was involved, and he's a good player. Mm-hmm. But when you talk about the real great players that we've seen in this league, attacker-wise, you think of sort of Mo Salah and Mane, you think of some of the players Manchester City. You saw Son today. He didn't stop running. That was a leader. That was a captain today away at Manchester City. We're not asking for the goals and assists with Rashford. They'll come. We've seen that in the past. What you're asking for is leadership. It doesn't matter who he's playing with. Those players have got to look up to him and go, he is Manchester United. He's what embodies this football club, and he's going to drag them up with him, because that football club is an unbelievable football club, Manchester, and it will get back to the top. That will happen. But it's Marcus Rashford's job more than anybody in that squad, because he's local, to drag that team with him.
But he's 26 though. He's 26. He's not a child anymore. We're talking about examples around the training ground. The one thing you want from a player, and a Man United player, is going, first of all, straight away I'd be looking at the walk rate, the desire. He's obviously a talented boy. He's 26, and we go, well, if he's one of the more senior players, and he's got that mega deal now, huge money, he's got to set the example. He's going to run more than anybody. Just the fact he's got that behind him, and he's got to lead by example, and he's certainly not. Is he on his own? Absolutely not. Of course not.
That's what.
But he's one of the experienced senior players in that dressing room, and if he's not putting his shift in, not good.
The problems, I suppose, are more visible when they're playing against good quality opposition for Manchester United. They've managed to brush other teams aside, or managed to get past them with 1-0s and 2-1s.
But the reason you're at Manchester United is to compete against, to be.
So how do you get back there, Roy? That was the bigger question. They're drifting. There is a malaise.
Listen, whatever's going on. Again, I'm always wary about what happens at the training ground and the culture and who's getting hold of the players in terms of the senior players. We're on about Rashford, or we talk about Fernandes sometimes, and his body language is not great. Straight away, you're looking at two senior players. You're going, well, that's not a good start. Who is driving them forward? Who is training properly? Who is setting examples of what playing for Manchester United is all about? I don't see it. So when United went to Newcastle last night, I wasn't sitting at home thinking, oh, fancy United.
Does that not come from the manager, though?
Yeah, well, he'd be part of it, yeah, and his staff, of course, and the recruitment, and all goes in the mix, of course. But you've got to focus on the players who are at the club at the moment. We've mentioned Martial. I know he's an easy target. But the first few